So this video will mainly focus on how to start your first application and run it and set up Flutter for desktop. So there are many videos where you can get to know how to install Flutter. We are not going to go through that. We are just going to use Flutter, enable the Flutter desktop, and then build a Flutter application. Okay, so start with uh, how to enable Flutter desktop for your operating system. So if you will see there are requirements, please fulfill those requirements and then according to your operating system, check if you download all this thing like Visual Studio 2019 for Windows, Xcode for Mac OS, and these libraries for Linux. At present, I'm using Linux, so I have done all this. One thing for Linux users is that please don't install the Snap Flutter because it creates problems later. Okay, so now to enable Flutter desktop, there are quite simple steps. Uh, is this one. So you have to do this before actually starting a new project. Before using Flutter, create, build a new project. You have to make sure that Flutter is enabled in your part, so you can actually use the terminal to put these commands and run it successfully. So, what I recommend is, irrespective of your desktop operating system, put all these three commands, as later when you will build a Flutter project, you will see that you have additional two operating system files. So theoretically, you can run those applications on the other operating systems that you are not presently working on. And so now we are gonna I've done this, and please do this, and then we will start by building our first Flutter application. Okay, so to build our first Flutter application, I'm going to use VS Code. I prefer VS Code over Android Studio. So to do this, let's run the new Flutter application. I'm going to put it somewhere in a directory, write it as YouTube, and I will create a project. This will be the first YouTube vid one. Okay, so this is now going to create the Flutter um, project for us. So as you can see, it's starting the project. Okay, so our Linux application has been built. As you can see, there is a folder name as Linux. Earlier, if I have been using Flutter for mobile application development, you would have seen there is only Android and iOS, but now there is Flutter and also Mac OS and Windows, which as I told you earlier, that that if you input all the three commands, you can actually run this on Mac OS and Windows without needing to run it on your Linux, without needing to run it on some other uh, desktop or other device. So now we are going to go to the code. This is basically the basic structure of the Flutter app, the default Flutter app with a counter and a floating action button. I've removed the comments directly because they don't really look that good. So now we are going to run this application. To run this application, there is this option where you can use a Pixel or Chrome or Linux. So I'm going to choose Linux. This Linux option isn't by default. As you input those three commands into your command line, this option comes up. So I will choose Linux and then go here and start debugging. And as you can see, it's running the application, building Linux file. I will just open the debug console. Okay, so now it's finally running. The application is running. I'm going to switch it over. And so this is the Flutter demo homepage app. And as you can see, there is a floating action button. And as I click it, the counter increments, and it 13, 14, 15, whatever. So this is the how to actually use Flutter demo app, and in the next video we are going to tweak it and print something on the screen like hello world with a top app part, and we are going to remove the all the logic and all everything and start from the basic.